Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Nikki and I am here today to share this sketchbook with you. Before we get into it, I just want to say that I've created this channel because I wanted to share my art journey. I've loved art ever since I was a kid and started drawing, but I've never really focused on it. A couple years ago, I decided to sign up for a class online. It was Jane Davenport class, and part of it was the Facebook group. And so I slowly started sharing some of the things I was creating, which led me up into last year of October. And that was really a turning point for me because I decided that I really wanted to participate in Inktober and I wanted to share it. And so I shared with my friends and my family on my Instagram account. And it was just very encouraging, all the feedback I got and the progress I made drawing every day for a month, doing ink. I'd never really done a lot of ink, and so it was a completely new medium for me, and I learned a lot in that month, and it really inspired me to set bigger goals for myself with my art and to really spend more time and concentrate and make it a priority. So this year, 2020, the beginning of the year, I set up a challenge for myself, and I was going to do something creative every day for the year. And we're in May now, and so far I have. One of the other projects I started at the beginning of the year to help me with this creativity challenge is this sketchbook. This is a sketchbook from the Sketchbook Project. What it is there's a sketchbook museum in Brooklyn, and so when you sign up for it, you purchase the sketchbook, they'll send it to you, you fill it up, you send it back to them, and then it goes into their museum for anybody that wants to see it can go get it and view it and see your art. They scan it, and so you were able to track and see how many people are seeing your sketchbook. And so part of my year and this challenge for myself in growing my art and getting better is I want to put more out there for people to see. And so I was really excited for this project. I wanted to challenge myself and to just be brave and start sharing stuff. Now, nothing in here is any kind of masterpiece. It is a whole bunch of random different sketches. There's really no theme. I called it just random bits. There's animals, there's landscapes, there's just doodles, there's all kinds of different media. One thing that I did do is when I first got this sketchbook, I realized that the paper was not going to be strong enough for me. I tend to like to do a lot of watercolor and wet media, and the paper was just a drawing paper. And one of the things that you can do with the sketchbook is you can rebind it and put in whatever paper you want. And so I did that. I pulled the book apart. The only requirement is that it still has to be this size, this 5x7 size. It can be however thick you want. So I pulled it apart and I put a mix of different pages in here. There's some watercolor paper in here. There's some lightweight mixed media paper in here. There's a couple of toned charcoal type papers in it. And then I decided to be a little bit fancy on my spine. You can see that. When I stitched it together, I put these beads on the edge just for something different, and then I got a couple little dangling ones. So I want to dive into this sketchbook with you and share it with you, so let's go do that. Back at my desk now, I want to show you we're going to flip through the pages of this sketchbook. The cover, I did just this abstract flower, and I used these Montana acrylic paint markers, and I do really like these. I think I got these in a sketch box a while back, but these are becoming one of my favorite acrylic markers because they just go on. They're very matte and very opaque, and you can get empty markers and you can fill and blend the colors yourself for whatever you want. That's how I got the green one, and then I just did my pen. The first page I did a welcome, and I did a hello letter to whoever sees this. I wanted to kind of send them a little message and thank them for taking the time. And it just says, hello fellow art lover, thank you for looking through my sketchbook. Within these pages are a random mix I have been working on. I am working on building my art skills. Most of this book is a mix of experiments, and I am building up the courage to share my work. This sketchbook is a small step towards that goal. I am grateful to you for taking the time to share in this journey. I hope you enjoy what I've created. So this was the first page that I made. The fish I found reference images on Pinterest, and so I just wanted to sketch a variety of different fish in different poses, and I colored them in with watercolor pencil. And then this light blue is actually one of these gelato crayons. I guess they're crayons, I don't know, or just gelatos. I have had a set of these. I think I have a green one also, and I've had them for a while. I got them for my scrapbooking and then never really used them that much. And I actually found in this sketchbook, I came back to them multiple times, and they were a lot of fun using for backgrounds especially. So I wanted it very light, just a little hint of blue, and then I outlined my fish in brown colored fine liners for a little bit more. And this page, doing the water on the watercolor brushes and pencils is really what made me think that this paper is not going to hold up very well to a lot of wet media. And so after I did this page is when I took it apart and refilled it with a variety of pages. This page I did with, I was testing out these pastels, these soft pastels, which I love the color of them, and they're beautiful, smooth to work with, but I'm not really good with pastel. I haven't really done a lot, and so I wanted to keep it really, really simple, and so I just drew in the tree with a little bit of the shading, and I also had a white paint pen that I did the edges, and then later I left it and I thought it was very plain, and so I came back in later with a colored pencil and drew in more of the sky. It's probably harder to tell. You can see a little bit on the texture, but this is the plain paper that was with the sketchbook, and then this is a blue toned pastel paper that I put in. This page is just, it's not one of my favorites, to be honest. I just did a lobster shape with doodles, and then I was playing with some plants. This is this beautiful pearlescent liquid ink. I used it for another page in here and really liked it, and so when I came back, I wanted to put it in. And I should also say, I did not fill this up in order. I did the first page first, and then all the others I kind of jumped around back and forth to fill it up. This page, I really like my witch, and I did her first, and all she is a water-soluble graphite, and I wanted her to be just a black and white and kind of fade into the background because I really wanted that poison apple to pop. And I don't know if you can tell, but see how shiny that is? She is the poison on the apple, and that is again this beautiful pearlescent ink. I've had this again for a while and I just haven't used it, and so this sketchbook was a lot of fun because I really pulled out a lot of the art supplies that had just been sitting for a while, and it's really made me kind of start using them more. This was a simple watercolor background with a little Snow White image that I watercolored. This hippo, this was a art snacks box, I believe, and so I had these supplies that were in my box. I have this gray colored liquid watercolor, the brush pen in this kind of apricot color, and then a fine liner that's purple. And so I wanted to make something with that. So I sketched out a few different hippos that I found on Pinterest, and then I picked the one that I liked the best and made it on this page. And this paper is watercolor paper, so it did well with all the wet media. My bees. You can tell this is the toned charcoal paper, and this was one of the last pages I did, and it's the same kind of thing. I just did a few sketches of some bees. I picked my favorite one, and then I put in the full composition. So he is some pastel pencils that I blended a little bit, and I just did a little outlining with ink, and then I added the gold paint pen around, and you can kind of see him shining a little bit. I'm really liking gold and silver touches on things. This was one of the earlier pages I did, and you can see there's a little bit of bleed through. This paper didn't hold up all that well, but I did this guy first, and I really like the contrast with the black and the white on this tanned paper. I was really happy with how that one turned out. And then I also wanted to do a rainbow animal. I did, in my Inktober sketchbook, I worked on a rainbow zebra that I didn't really finish, but I really liked the way it was coming along with just the rainbow of colors on the stripes, and so I wanted to do that one too. And then after I did them, I felt like it needed a little bit more on the background. It didn't really pop enough, and so I added some of this purple watercolor. And the paper is pretty wrinkly because this is the paper that was in the original sketchbook. So it really didn't stand up to the water that well, but it's not bad. This, I was just messing around with faces. I don't think I'm very good at faces, but I want to practice and get a little bit better. So the background is, again, these gelatos. I just scribble some down, and then I take a damp paper towel and kind of blend out the colors, and I think it makes a really interesting background for them. And then I took a little bit of acrylic paint and I painted the heads, and then I just added some ink and some colored pencil just to get a variety of faces. This page really had a lot of bleed through, and this was one of my earlier pages, and I really like the way they turned out. In my original drawing class that I took in college almost 20 years ago, I really enjoyed sketching out skulls, and it was just a lot of fun, all the different textures and the lines in them. So I want to do more things like this. So here I just was testing out a few different images that again I referenced on Pinterest, and so I did this one, was the one I liked the best, and so I added the colors. And then once I added the skull and the rose, I went back and added some of these leaves, again with that pearlescent ink, so they're a little bit shiny. And I really like how that turned out. That's something I want to redraw it and make it a little bit nicer. This was one of the towards the end, so this was later. And this octopus I got in May of this month. I got this drawing kit as part of a Sketchbox, their anniversary box. And so I wanted to come back and I wanted to use that up. And so I really like just the tans and grays and black colors, and so I used those to draw out the octopus. And then for the background, I filled it in with just some of this India ink to make it darker. And I really like the way he turned out. I'm just a little bit sad that it bled through the page, but that's the paper. This was a cover-up. I did a sketch that didn't work out and I didn't like it, and so I thought I would cover it up. So I just did a lot of acrylic paint and a little bit of gesso to get the original image covered up and use that as a background just to doodle some of these paisleys on it. This background, again, is those gelatos, and I really like the way this one turned out. This one, I took the damp paper towel and really made them smooth so it was nice and blended, and then I just doodled some of the plant things. You can see here that art on the back bled through a little bit, and that's why I didn't finish what I was doing on this side. I didn't want a whole bunch of bleed through, and so I stopped what I was doing and then covered up with something different. This is a watercolor flower I did. It was inspired by one of the lessons in one of my Jane Davenport classes, where I just I drew the flower with masking fluid, and then I painted the watercolor over it, and then I took the masking fluid out and doodled in some of the lines in here. And then the background, I just used a mermaid marker and did my design, and then messed it up with the water afterwards to make it smear and smudge, and so it's got a little bit of texture back there. But I was having fun doing these kind of flowers. I did a few others in other projects, and I really like how they turned out, so I was just kind of playing and experimenting with whatever I can do with the masking fluid and doodles. I did some other designs with these drippy watercolor skulls. I have some artwork I put up on Redbubble where I just had this idea where I wanted to do these drippy skulls, and so I did a whole bunch of them. They are more monochromatic, and so I wanted to come back in. I was like, I want to blend some of the colors, and so I did him in this kind of orangey pinkish background with the turquoise and green drips, and then his eyes are actually purple. They're really dark and look closer to black, but it was purple ink. This guy is a page it's that I folded. I wanted to make something tactile. I really like pages that in journals and stuff that have like hidden parts, things that pull out or flip open, because people are going to be looking at this. I didn't want something that could be pulled out and lost, and so I just wanted to keep it a flip. So once you open the door, you get to this kind of land of giant flowers, almost Alice in Wonderland inspired. I used Tombow markers on this, and this is mixed media paper, but it's a lighter mixed media paper. So it was having a little bit of problems with the water that I added to this. It didn't like it all that much, and so I kind of eased up on it. And I haven't really done a lot with markers, and so I kind of struggled with it a little bit. It didn't turn out quite as well as I had hoped, but I still like the idea of having something that flips open. Here I used, these are watercolor pencils that I sketched out this seahorse in these nice light pinks and stuff, and then I have a darker one that I went through and did the border. Originally I was planning on doing my seahorse and then taking a fine liner and outlining it, but then once I started putting the color in, I just realized I really liked the softness of him, and so I didn't want to lose that, so I just left it as it was. This is colored pencils on, again, another blue pastel toned paper, and I really I got this silver marker, or the silver marker in another Art Snack box, I believe it was, and I really like the way using it for highlights on stuff, and so I was doing a few different pieces where I just used the little touches of the silver for a highlight, and it just adds a little something more than just a white gel pen would. So I was having fun playing with that. These are some messy bird sketches. I did this big thick ink rough. I wanted it very kind of rough and sketchy looking, and then I wanted to fill it in with a color. I like how these turned out, and I really like that you can see the different pages. So this one's the original sketchbook page, and it's a lot smoother versus the pastel paper. You can see all the textures and stuff, so it's just kind of fun seeing how the two compared side by side with each other. This I did the beginning of May because May is Mermaid, and so I wanted to get a mermaid in here. And I went back again with these gelatos I was having a lot of fun with, obviously, and so I did her tail and her hair and obviously the blue water with the gelatos. I just scribble it on and then take a paper towel that I get wet and I squeeze out the water, and then I just rub it and blend it all together. Her body was it wasn't a gelato. I used a Malibu art crayon, but same kind of thing, water soluble crayons. And so I filled that in, and then I added details with colored pencil, and I got her scales in and little lines in the water and her face, and all is just colored pencil. And then my last page, I just went back to doodling paisleys. It was an online class. Its focus this month was paisleys, and so I've kind of been inspired to just do a bunch of different things. And so I just sketched them out with ink and then colored them in with a colored pencil and just kept it really simple. And now that's my last page, and here's all my information, my website and Instagram handle and everything, so that anybody looking through this, if they want to see more of what I'm doing, they can look me up. And then on the back, there's my due date. So I still have a couple months, but I'm done. I'm going to get this guy in the mail so he can get back there. They can do what they need to do. And then there's a barcode so that I'll be able to see how many people check out my sketchbook. I also, this one in particular, you have the option of paying a little bit more and getting it digitized. And so I went ahead and I paid to get it digitized. So they will be either scanning it or photographing it or something, and then it'll be available on their website for anybody around the world to view. So I'm excited about that. So that's my sketchbook. I hope you enjoyed this flip through and little chat about everything. And if you're interested in seeing what else I do and what other projects I've got going on and just seeing me improving with my art, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Thank you. Bye.